Bond movie has an awfully big obstacle to overcome. And that is that it has not only taken the film so freaking long to be released, and people are chomping at the bit for a new Bond. I mean, when most people are talking about who's next, that's not a great sign for your movie. Barbara Broccoli has said, we're not going to talk about it until next year, so pay attention to this movie. But then also, of course, there's Daniel Craig's crappy attitude that he's had for a while now, where he's made it clear he doesn't like these movies, he doesn't like being Bond, but he's doing it for the money. Ka-ching! And we're like, that's really insulting. And also, this movie's almost 3 hours, as I tweeted earlier today. And I was like, man, that's a lot for a movie that's too late. You know, I felt this was like Black Widow, past tense. It's about to get to be a very good review. And for a guy who doesn't want to be there. Why should I want to be there? And for so long. So imagine my surprise when the movie was like really good. So I had given up hope that Daniel Craig would make another Bond movie as good as Casino Royale. I even rewatched that a couple of months ago. Man, that's a good movie. My favorite Bond movie of all time. But as No Time to Die unfolded before my eyes, I thought, by Jove, I think he's done it. And then there was the ending. A bitter, cruel ending that serves Daniel Craig, who gets a story credit, by the way, so he's taken full ownership of this, over fans. However, since Daniel Craig has now been Bond for 15 years and taken us on one hell of a ride, sure, it's had its downs, but it's had some really spectacular ups as well. So I have to respect the ending, him ending his run the way he wants to, especially since even though I don't care for it, it does fit with the story, and I think there are even better ways that they could have done it, as we'll discuss in the spoiler review. I guess it made me think, and it got a really big reaction out of me, so it's got that going for it. And then also, I'm not too upset about it because overall, Daniel Craig goes out on such a strong note. Yes, while No Time to Die does have its flaws, with his 5th Bond movie, the Daniel Craig era finally succeeds in not only realizing the classic Bond mythology, this feels very much like a James Bond movie like the classic films, but updating it. You've got the crazy looking henchman. When the henchman took off his sunglasses at the beginning of the movie, I was like, man, I'm watching a Bond movie. And I was loving it. The evil lair, we'll talk about it more in the spoiler review. But this time, instead of feeling dated as it does in some Bond movies when you rewatch them today, etc., here, for the first time, a Bond movie felt thrillingly modern and realistic. I was like, there could be these crazy characters. It could happen. Sam Mendes helped the Daniel Craig Bond movies by copying Christopher Nolan's style. And here, Bond is finally reborn as, I would say, a realistic, real-world Batman. Many times I was watching this, I was like, he's Batman. He's Batman. But I wasn't like offended, and I'm a big Batman fan. I was like, this is cool. And just like Batman, it takes a village. Bond's supporting cast continues to be stellar, and at one point in the film, we'll talk about it in the spoiler review, but you do realize that Bond's closest friends and allies, for the most part, are all women, and Q, who is clearly an LGBT character this time around. Although I do wish we'd actually gotten to see his date show up. We were so close! It would have done wonders for representation and for this movie and for Ben Whishaw, for that damn door to open and for us to see his date. You just know they're going to change it in the dubs in some foreign countries, and you know Hollywood's got to stop doing that. Now, there are certain types of straight men who do naturally gravitate towards women in all their relationships, romantic and platonic. Think also how close Daniel Craig's Bond was to Judi Dench's M. And that's a fascinating character trait to give a ladies' man, because it evolves Bond from using women as playthings to simply getting along with women better in all sorts of activities. I thought it was a great, great idea. And thanks to Phoebe Waller-Bridge working on the script, maybe she was so bad in Solo, the Han Solo origin story, as that droid. But I love her so much in Fleabag. I'm hopeful for her in the upcoming Indiana Jones movie. Let's hope those rumors aren't true. But anyway, she did a wonderful job here on the script writing the female characters. These are the best Bond women we've ever had. I loved it. I wonder if this film will appeal more to women than men, now that I think about it. But that would be uncool, because, you know, don't worry, we're going to talk about James Bond. It's still totally his movie. All of these characters I'm about to talk about have much less screen time compared to Daniel Craig. All right, so Naomi Harris looks the most stunning we've ever seen her as Moneypenny. I was like, Moneypenny, your hair, your fashions, you look fabulous, darling. She had one blue pants and white shirt with like orange trim on it that I was like, you look amazing. You look marvelous. Ana de Armas, speaking of looking fantastic, this reminded me of her upcoming film Blonde, where she plays Marilyn Monroe, and I think there's a little bit of crossover, because what do you know, here she basically does Marilyn Monroe as a Bond woman. I know it's Bond girl, but I'm going to say Bond woman. And Ana de Armas does a pretty darn good Marilyn Monroe. It's been almost impossible for anyone to do Marilyn Monroe justice, and we have to see this movie. I believe the rumor is that it's being reworked or it has some problems. Who knows when it's going to see the light of day. But I gotta say, I saw definite shades of Marilyn Monroe here, and I was impressed. Ana de Armas is funny, fabulous, and fierce. I loved her. Speaking of fierce, Lashana Lynch is a force of nature as the new 007, and is definitely worthy of being Bond's successor. However, while there is some professional rivalry between the two of them, which is totally understandable, they're both 007, Lynch's Nomi is very, very respectful of Bond, while at the same time holding her own. Nobody should have a problem with her character. I loved her character. As for Leah Seydoux as Madeline Swan, she's okay. I didn't like her so much when she was introduced in the last movie, and I still didn't care for her too much here. I mean, as the movie went on, her role became a little bit more defined, so she became a bit more interesting, but I think another actress, a more dynamic actress, would have made this character pop more. She's no Vesper, let's just say that, whose memory is used here quite effectively, and that's all I'll say. As for the male characters, Ben Whishaw, I love Ben Whishaw, Ralph Fiennes and Rory Kinnear are all perfect in their roles. They're very small roles, but they were great when they were there. Billy Magnuson is also very well used, and who doesn't love to see Jeffrey Wright? What a week for Jeffrey Wright. I watched him in What If this morning, and I saw him here. He's going to be Commissioner Gordon. Jeffrey Wright's living his best life, and we're all here for it. David Dencik is also a scene stealer as a Russian scientist. Loved him. However, Rami Malek is shockingly underused. Like, at first I felt they were holding him back so that when he didn't come into the story more, he'd make more of an impression. Like, oh, it's hard to get an audience with this guy. But in the end, he's just another disappointing Daniel Craig Bond villain. Mads Mikkelsen and Javier Bardem are still the standouts. And oh yeah, Christoph Waltz is back, darn it. Still chewing scenery like a mofo, but the sequence that he has actually kind of two sequences, but the main thing that he has, it's staged so well, is pretty cool. I was like, oh, that's a pretty neat prison. I like this. Whoever came up with this is great. Spectre, though, has been used so poorly in the Daniel Craig films that when I first saw the logo here, my mind immediately went to Hydra. And I know, Hydra is based on Spectre, but thanks to the MCU, it has now surpassed it. At the end of the day, though, even with all these characters, as I said, fans will be happy to know that this is still very much the Daniel Craig James Bond show. That's who you're showing up to see, and see him you shall. He's front and center for almost the entire film, and an adventure as thrilling and glamorous as Casino Royale, but with the psychological intrigue and mystery of Skyfall. It's like taking the two best Bond movies and smushing them together for a fantastic time. Boy, it's good. I really like the first 2/3 of this movie. Maybe even the first 3/4. Maybe even the first 4/5. A whole lot. Oh, I really liked it. No Time to Die is a wonderfully elegant film and thoroughly European, reinvigorating the franchise and reminding you not only what sets it apart from all the others, but why it's lasted so long. You're like, man, this is a great formula. The work done here by director Cary Fukunaga is fantastic, and he might, I might have to actually say that he's better than Sam Mendes and Martin Campbell. He might be my favorite Bond director, and they should consider keeping him around, sorry Nolan, to introduce the next Bond. I'm very happy for Fukunaga. I couldn't help but think that there's this one sequence, this is where I thought it in the film, when they're doing that break-in on the building, I was like, I'm still happy for Fukunaga. It looked like he tanked his career after his breakout first season of True Detective, and then he made a whole bunch of crap, but this is gonna put him right back at the top of every studio's list. He's so good here, his directing. No Time to Die has fantastic action sequences, and a whole bunch of them, that are not only well choreographed, but beautifully and uniquely shot, and very cleverly conceived. Some of them also, by the way, feel like video games, like you're playing a video game, first-person shooter. which also helps the movie seem very modern. I didn't like the opening credit sequence, though. I thought the song was kind of blah. I thought Casino Royale still has the best Bond opening credit sequence of the Daniel Craig movies, in my opinion. The locations are all over the globe, as they should be for a Bond movie, with several scenes shot in Jamaica at a location that is a fantastic nod to Ian Fleming's own estate in the country. That outside shower, that was great. The film is absolutely perfect until that damn ending, but there's still a lot to enjoy here, and it's wonderfully cinematic. It's definitely worth seeing on the big screen if you feel comfortable. Goodbye, Daniel Craig. You had an iconic run. I will not miss you because we're all ready for a new Bond, but I shall remember you fondly, and you're still to date my favorite Bond. We'll see who the new guy is. So I'll do a spoiler review for No Time to Die when the movie hits the States October 8th. Until then, share your thoughts down below. Don't put any spoilers in there. Although I gotta tell you, if you don't like bad endings, you might want to find it out. I told my dad because it would ruin the movie for him. So I think going in, you can brace yourself for it and I think enjoy it. I mean, I was getting pretty upset as the movie came to an end. I'm like, you're not actually going to do that, are you? I was real angry. All right, but the rest of it's so good. And again, Daniel Craig, this is the ending you wanted. All right, so share those thoughts down below. Subscribe today. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.